Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Townsend Water Commissioners meeting to order at 7 p.m. on April 14th, 2025. We are attending via Zoom, and the meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Roll call of members present. Todd Melanson, Chair. Aye.
Nathan Madala, Vice Chair, present.
Jessica Fanioli, Clerk, present.
Okay. Dave, if you would.
Dave Vijon, Superintendent, present.
Okay. I don't see anybody else right now. Okay. Let's see. I have no addition or deletions. If you've had a chance, you guys were there. Everything looked typed right to me, but I will bow to you guys if you think the minutes are correct.
I move that we approve the minutes of the Water Commissioners meeting Tuesday, March 11th, 2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madala, aye.
Jessica Fanioli, aye.
It's passed unanimously. Review correspondence and public comments beyond our one appointment. I don't see, or I wasn't given any. I didn't know if any of you were. So there's none published. I don't see our appointment. Oh, no, there he is. He is here. So we will go to 2.1. I am going to mispronounce this name, but Camille Nassar. Was I close, sir?
Thank you.
Okay.
Shall I speak?
Well, this is in relation to your account, which is 60603 10 Worcester
Right.
Road, correct?
On Worcester Road, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm moving back into the house now, but I had it rented out for a couple of years, and when the tenants left, they had left the outside spigot on. It froze, so it wasn't anything happening. But then it unfroze, and water was gushing out all weekend. And I know it's my fault, my problem, but I had a $1,200 bill for that, and I wondered if that can be reduced in any way.
Why did they have to come back a second time?
I beg your pardon?
I have one on the 28th, and then there was one on the 47th, on the 30th of December.
I don't know. The kind woman at the department phoned me and said, water's gushing out. They thought there might be a flooding issue or something, but somebody came out and turned off the water. I don't know. That's the only time anybody came out. I'm not aware of anything else.
Nate?
Todd, yeah, what do you mean? I'm not seeing any information referring to they or any dates.
On the packet.
Yep.
Right. If you scroll down past the minutes, the first one says 2.1 Water Department shut off door spigot December 30th, 2024, 47,000 gallons, 10 Worcester Road. The next page down, Water Department shut off same spigot January 28th, January 2025 at 26,000 gallons.
So those are notations of appointments or house calls?
Actual response.
Okay. So you want me to go through what I have written?
Please.
Sure. Please.
All right. So there was a cold stretch just before Christmas, just after Christmas. There was a warm stretch that thawed out the house. On Monday morning, I came in. The first thing I noticed at 6 o'clock in the morning was his something running in his house. So I told the people in the office to call the homeowner, and I dispatched a crew out to the house. We found out there was a piece on the spigot. The spigot was left on. The piece on it froze and blew off, and water was spraying everywhere. We turned off the spigot, and we didn't charge the homeowner for the call. Then I also told the people in the office to make sure that outdoor spigot was turned off from the inside of the house. A month later, the same spigot blew off again and ran for about a day and a half. And as soon as I got in the morning, I dispatched the crew and had them shut it off again. Again, there was no charge for dispatching the crew to shut it off the house. So that's the whole story.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that. I'm just aware of one time that the water department phoned me and I ran out there. And I'm not aware of two times.
Right,
So,
I sent the crew out twice.
okay. All right.
Dave, so I'm going to assume the water was not shut off inside, correct?
That is correct. But we didn't charge them for any of the visitors out there because I knew there was going to be a water bill that is higher than normal. So I didn't think charging for both things was the right thing to do.
All right.
But he's
Mr.
just
Chairman,
There's nobody living in the house correctly at this time.
I'm just moving in right now. I was just doing I'm doing some painting and I'm moving in now.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may ask, Camille, is there any damage to the spigot that you're aware of?
No.
Okay. Have you tested it to make sure that it holds its charge and isn't leaking right now?
No, I didn't. I just turned it off from the inside.
Okay. I can't speak for the rest of the board. I was going to say I would entertain a motion to take this period where you had these unfortunate incidents and bill at the first tiered rate. But that's kind of in line with what we've done in the past. This is a sort of different scenario, but I would ask that you absolutely ensure that this fixture is not in danger of leaking water once it is charged up.
Yes, absolutely.
Would the rest of the board want a plumber to verify that this is chip shape before we do something like that? I mean,
Yeah, it's what we've done in the past. We've made them. The caveat I wonder about, Nate, is where he was asked to shut it off the first time. Like what we normally do, or that I normally do, is like say a meter freezes. And we go out and we don't charge, we charge them at the first tier for any of the water loss or whatever. And we do all the work for free. And then usually we tell them that area has to be heated. If we have to go back the second time in the same year for a freeze plate, that second event is charged. So that would be the only thing I wouldn't have a problem either way, I guess, because we have set that precedent, but I'd want it fixed before we do. But I wanted to know if the board would entertain doing the first incident at the tier 1, and then the second one at the full value. but I'll be guided by the board. So like the first one that happened on December 30th is the majority of it. It's 47,000 gallons. And the second one is 26.5. But I will entertain what you guys think or say. Nate, go right ahead.
One more question, Camille. At this point, December 30th through 28th of January, who was occupying the domicile?
It was empty at that time, but I'm sorry, I didn't know that happened twice. I really didn't know that. I turned off the water from the inside, but I can't. And now I can't even remember when it was. Was it January or was it December? I'm sorry, I can't remember. I'd have to go back and check.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, I know you had said this. I don't know if you meant a full year period, but I mean, part of it was in 24 and part of it was in 25. I don't know if you're strictly going by your wording there.
No, it's within a year's time, not a calendar.
Gotcha.
But it's just I find if you turned it off inside the first time, unless someone turned it back on the inside again, I don't know what would have happened. I'm amenable either way. I just was going to bring up different options. Just, do you have anything you want to add, or which way are you leaning?
I'm leaning towards what you originally said with charge them December at the tier 1 and the second one at normal value.
Dave, what would the numbers look like? How much would he save if we did that? If we did the first day at tier 1 and the
that one would take me a little bit to figure.
Okay. Well, you know what? Why don't we don't put them on for any sort of interest. And we will
just say when you do your thing tonight, just say we're going to waive interest on, because it's one billing period. It's all one billing period, which makes
Okay.
it.
All right. So if we will whoever makes the motion will add that. And whoever makes the motion, Nate, I'll get you in 2 secs. I see your hand up. I don't want you to leave it up there. But I think we should table it until he has the spigot fixed and we have the repair bill presented to us for getting that fixed. Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we give. This is something that's happened, Camille, in different cases. With the new tiered rate, certainly things can get out of hand when a large volume is elapsed. Really, this sort of thing is a one and done. And as we've been doing it, as this board has been doing it, it's been, if you have a problem, this is what we do. We figure it at a different tier. And really, like, if it's something like this happens again, it likely won't be the same turnout, but that depends on what the board says on a case-by-case basis. But to be in line with, and for a state of fairness, that's what we have been doing. I'm amenable to doing the whole period, but certainly we would want to see a statement from a professional, a qualified professional or a licensed plumber, stating that this spigot is not leaking and is in good shape and good condition, operable condition.
Okay, I'll take care of that right away. And should I send that to you, to the water department? Should I? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And what should I do? What should I do with the bill here, the $1,200 bill?
It's going to sit here with us. It's not going to be charged interest or late fees or anything like that. We're going to make a motion to table it, holding the being withheld from interest and late fees. And then you'll come back next month. The other thing, have you signed up for, Dave, what's our...
Eye on water.
Say again?
Eye on water.
Ion Water.
That would tell him
So-
he has a leak within a few hours.
So it's a program you can sign up for. When it will tell you your usage every day, but if it thinks you have a leak, it's going to let you know and send you in a text message. So there
Oh.
won't be any waiting around. That's
Oh.
another thing we've been requiring of people is not only to fix it, but to get on the Ion Water app so that you are notified as soon as possible if something's going wrong.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good. Oh, I'd be happy to do that.
All right.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to decide on, let's give ourselves some time to think about which way we want to do it, if the board so chooses. But I've got no problem, since there's not going to be any interest charged or anything like that, holding off to make a final decision on which tier we do once we get the next month, when we have the repair bill and proof that he signed up for Ion Water. Are you guys amenable to that?
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right. Can I get a motion? Or do you want
Mr.
me to try
Chairman.
it? Oh, go right ahead, Nate, please.
I move that you want a motion to table? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I move
but
that we
make sure
table we table the appointment 2.1 for Camille Nassar, account number 60603. And in the interim, he is going to provide us with a repair bill or its equivalent to ensure the working order of the spigot, and the interest will be waived until we hear back from him next month.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jessica Funioli, aye.
All right.
I'll have both options for you next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3.1, discuss opening ceremony.
So right now we have 55 confirmed for the 11 o'clock, but it looked from when the looks of it, it'd be 75 to 100. We also have the resident slots now starting to fill up. Time Bond will be providing the water bottles for the event at their
Okay.
cost.
Okay.
We have a few vendors that will be supplying desserts.
Okay.
And so we're just going to do food, and right now I'm predicting anywhere from 150 to 200 people altogether.
Okay. That sounds like a good deal. Nate, go ahead.
After much discussion of these bottles and vessels, I just want to ask: are these bottles a material that's in line with everything that we've discussed?
Well, we're not providing them, and so I don't like the idea of doing something for the water department that's doing something else. If somebody wants to produce them, I'll ask them the question to make sure that they're PFAS free.
I would also, well, PFAS, but also like the BPA is probably more problematic, as those would be
Right.
the two big ones.
All right.
The second thing, I don't know if you were going to elaborate on the opening ceremony more, but I was just like our groundbreaking ceremony was kind of just like we showed up, didn't know what was going on. I'd like to see an itinerary, and a loose plan.
There was an
If you-
itinerary last time, just no one
Okay.
followed.
Okay, that's fine. If you could present it to us so we can discuss it in a meeting, that would be greatly appreciated. I think we'll be a little bit more organized that way. Everybody knows what's going on, and for the sake of transparency. And if you have not yet formulated one, we can absolutely do that.
We won't know that until I know who's coming.
Okay.
But we should have a better idea of that when by the next meeting, because we'll be meeting before the opening, correct?
Correct.
So the next meeting, Dave, you're going to have a couple things for us right now. So you're going to have,
I'll have a full itinerary.
okay, but then you also have the two options. So those are two of the things just I want you noted that you're going to have ready for us next meeting.
Just so you know, I don't even know if the selectmen are coming. because they haven't said so yet.
If the board is amenable, I will reach out to our liaison and make the personal formal request and see if they will be attending, if that is amenable to the board.
Yes.
Fun. Anyways.
For the record, Jessica Funioli is shaking her head yes.
All righty then. All right. So we will have a full agenda come our next meeting.
Which would be, I think, 8 days before the event.
Okay. 3.2. Well, let's think that ends the 3.1. 3.2, Lunenburg tank and system expansion.
Right. So the next step is sizing the booster pump, which we need the hydraulic study to make sure the booster pump's sized correctly. On your part, you need to decide as a board the scope of the water lines. So, do we just go to Lunenburg line, or do we make a loop around the hill, which is what I would recommend because it gives circulation on the top, which is going down Old City Road, down Clement, and up Bayberry, and back to the tank. So one loop, and then you can build off of that in the future.
You wouldn't follow Lunenburg down to Old City and come down Old City?
That's what I said.
So you said Clement, but Clement cuts in between.
Right. So I said, so the booster pump to the tank's almost to Old City.
Mm-hmm.
So you go down Old City to down Clement, and then loop back to Bayberry to Lunenburg Road. So it'll make
Old City doesn't connect to Clement. You have to go down. I think it's Bailey.
Well, there's a little section of Pittsburgh Road.
No, actually, you'd have to go Old City out to Route 13.
Right.
I'd almost consider doing it in phases. Because Dave is correct. You do want it looped so we don't create a dead end. But I almost think connecting it going Lunenburg Road to Old City and all the way out to Route 13, connecting the main on 13, that would be like phase one. And then
one thing with that, it doesn't matter. You can't connect to the main because it's two different. The pressure is going to be 100 pounds difference. You'd have to put a pressure reducing valve.
Okay.
So it doesn't make much sense. That's something in the future.
Well, then why don't we? Well, we can think about it. It's not something we have to decide now. It's just I'd rather before we talked about going down different roads. I think it would behoove ourselves not just to do the study, but to do a survey and see how many people actually want to hook up. Because if we run a main down Clement and we get maybe 2 people to hook up, that's a large investment for a very small return.
Well, maybe that's what we do. Maybe we do send letters out to the residents and ask them, would you hook up?
I think that. Go ahead, Jess.
My concern is if the DEP in the future decides that it's going to be mandatory well testing, and what if all of the wells have the PFAS in it? Then they're screwed because they don't know that the DEP is going to come down possibly with this regulation in this sometime near future. Then they're screwed if they say, no, I'm happy with my well water right now because I don't pay for water. And I agree with that, but they don't know what's coming. And I don't know if they would be able to, I don't know, maybe we hold an informational night. Listen, this is what DEP is doing, and then you make your decision because I think that they're just going to make their decision off of, I don't have a water bill now. I'll have a water bill in the future. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
first of all, DEP is let's straighten it out. DEP isn't making that decision. They don't actually have authority over private wells. It's
Okay.
it's the Department of Public Health, but
Okay.
they get directives because it's not a quote unquote drinking water standard, a municipal drinking water standard. The legislation has to do it. The problem is, and it has gone back. I'm on the legislative committee for Mass Waterworks, and it has gone back into committee because no one knows how or who will enforce it. Both because it's tied with both restricting private well use during a drought and the PFAS. Those are two that are tied together in this, and no one knows who will or can enforce it. The other is a private well is almost easier to treat than a municipal water for PFAS because there isn't a lot to it, and it's a pretty simple either whole house or point of use. So I don't disagree with you making that the well water could have it in there. Most of the wells around here are deep bedrock wells, and what they're finding, unless you have a known spot of contamination that's high, and when I talk about high, I'm talking thousands of ppm. So you look out in Western Mass, and I forget where it is. There was a composting company, and they were taking everyone's household waste, and they were composting it, and that's where a lot of the PFAS, and it was in the thousands of parts per million, and so the PPT was through the roof. Those wells were because there was a massive contamination. Most of what we're talking about on these bedrock wells, where you're 300 feet or so down, they're more protected of it. As far as I know, in our area, the bedrock wells testing has come back very low if you go on the DEP website. So I'm not opposed to having at some point an informational night leading up to then we do the survey if that's something we want to consider. But I wouldn't say that it's imminent because the regulations may or may not change. You're looking at things like maybe changing the way fluoride is dosed for communities that dose fluoride. Certain other regulations are looking at. So I would wait. Massachusetts has primacy, but until they figure out who's actually going to enforce it, because municipal water basically said, I'm not going into someone's private property and telling them what they can or cannot do. It's hard enough for us to do it on our water with the water conservation that, most water utilities want no part of private wells. The Board of Health don't have the resources or the personnel to do it. So the next step was the environmental police, and they don't either. So it's kind of in limbo.
One thing about that, the Neshoba Board of Health has put in their regulations that it's highly recommended for any house that has a selling or a brand new well to test for PFAS.
How can they do it with no regulation and no directive from? They get their authority
Just a
from
recommendation.
The Public Health.
Correct.
Just a recommendation.
Correct.
Okay.
But what happens with recommendations is if the banks get involved and you don't do it, and you don't disclose that you didn't do it, you may not get a mortgage.
So I would. That's between the Board of Health. I don't want to get
It's
in
not
the
us.
middle of that.
It's the Board of Health.
So I would rather wait until there's something definitive in writing before we do that. But I don't mind having an informational, so long as we're even-handed about it. That I'm not the type of person that wants to scare people. And so, we had known quantities. We had a directive. We had an MCL that we had violated. So we had to the plant had our water had to get treated for PFAS.
But we're kind of getting off the subject.
Yep, but that
This
so I like I'll pull it. Thank you for pulling us back on, Dave. I will say that I don't think we need to make a decision here or now because the study's not going to be started until July, correct? Because that's when we have to wait for the funds.
Hey, it's immediate.
Wait a minute. The study can't go until we have funds for it. The funds
Which
aren't
is
going to be
the next day.
Dave, let me finish. I will recognize you.
Okay.
The funds aren't going to be available until our warrant article is approved. I am not comfortable spending money we don't have until we have it approved at town meeting. So to say it's going to be done in May, unless it's, a week or so after the town meeting, but then you have to contract, the tie and bond or what have you to do it. I'd rather wait to make the decision of when this is going to transpire until after town meeting. Because I don't think we can spend money unless we've had it approved.
Right. That's not what I said. So as soon as the town, it's not July 1st that the money's available. It's the day after the town meeting and the project can begin. It's going to take about 3 months for the project to finish. There's a lot of work into it.
No, I know it. I know it is, Dave. The bill can't be sent to us until after July. We can't pay for it in this fiscal year if it's been approved for next fiscal year.
It's not approved for next fiscal year. It's coming out of free cash or other. So the free cash has already been certified. We have about $300,000.
And this is what, 100 all told between the cyber and this?
No. So I'm going to have some of it paid for by the building. So about half of the 60,000 will be paid for. The hydraulic portion will be paid for out of contingency for the building, but the master plan update will be paid for out of the 60,000 we get for the.
All right. So let's so say that's 30. What's the cyber cost?
We put 12 in there, but it's probably going to come around 8 or 9.
So we're talking, say, 50 at the utmost, rounding up.
At the very, very, very high.
Like-
the highest. But by listing it as free cash or other, the funds are immediate.
All right. Because it's not part of the annual, but okay.
Right.
All right. All right. This doesn't need to be a motion on this because we've already voted. So it's just, but it does have to wait until after town meeting, correct?
Right.
All right. So what are we looking? You're saying May. When is town meeting, by the way?
May
6
6th.
May.
All right. Nate, I recognize you. Go ahead.
So perhaps I didn't understand with the addition of this tank that there could be different options for looping and adding water main. I would really like to see this stuff laid out as organized as we can with some numbers. Like, well, I didn't know we were talking about going down like those streets specifically. If we could have a full scope so we could see everything all at once clearly. I just feel like it's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. I would rather make a decision with
Actually,
all
let's
the
give it to
information,
last month.
encompassing all the information.
All
So,
that information.
so if I look in last month's meeting packet, it'll all be there.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna
Plus
do
the
that.
number of houses on each road, and so you can make a decision because it's number of houses per foot, which it should be one of the considerations. more bang for the buck, So it should, getting to the tank is not very many houses, but Bayberry and Clement are a huge amount of houses. And getting out to 13 brings us to the industrial section of the town, which is the old car lot.
That information is not in March's meeting packet.
It was in the one before. You made the comment of all the maps.
I'm not seeing any maps. We have minutes for. We're getting a little off topic. I would like to see this all at once, not a little bit here, a little bit there. I'd like a clear picture.
But if that was already given to you.
If you can if you can indicate where it is, I would absolutely like to take a look. It doesn't need to be done right now.
Right, but like I said, all those maps were given to you. I'll send them out again. But
you don't.
Well,
All I asked is that you indicate where they are and when you sent them. You don't need to send them again necessarily.
Right. But you made a comment on how nice the maps looked. Those are the ones.
I thought that was for the GIS mapping.
No, that was for this project. I was trying to introduce everyone to the scope of what you need to do.
All right, so let me take a break for a second here and step in. I wouldn't mind seeing the full breadth and scope. I'm kind of with Nate because putting that much pipe in the ground is not going to be inexpensive. Dave, when do we have an idea of when or the first outlay of the PFAS lawsuit money?
Supposed to be the 15th, but it hasn't showed up yet. It's
the 15th of April.
Of April. That's the paperwork. When I gave you the paperwork, it said the 15th, but that's which is tomorrow.
Could you reach out? Well, tomorrow. If it comes in tomorrow, I think all three of us would like to know that. And as far as I know, nothing has been formally set up with where that's going to go. I think there's a holding account, and then it needs to be discussed where it's going to go after that. Next meeting, I'm probably gonna present something to you with a request that we support it, but I need to put it in writing and have it to you so you guys have it before. But I would like to see, not only do I want to see what you're talking about in maps, Dave, I want to see expected costs of what you're talking about, putting the extra pipe in the ground. I think you definitely should call out to a couple of communities that have already had bid openings for pipe. I was on a roundtable discussion with a bunch of superintendents today, and a couple of them have had the prices of pipe jump in the last month. So don't go off of old pricing. See if you can call around. If you need some names, I can get them to you, so that you can put your numbers accurately together for a today price, not something from that, from leaving from last year, so that we can see numbers. And I'd almost like to see it in stages, maybe, option one doing that one loop, option two doing both and stuff. Because that, I tell you what, that pipe on Bayberry is not going to be easy. The slope on it is fairly significant. I think coming down Bayberry at the end, you're almost going to need a pressure reducer anyways, coming out there, coming down that hill as steep as it is. And I know the ledge is not that deep because that road got trenched out when we had a flood. I don't know. My memory's fuzzy, but
I remember that.
There was a good 100 feet from like just past Clement all the way down. Didn't go all the way to the bottom, but I'd say a good 100, 150 feet of it got trenched, and you could see the flat bedrock right underneath the ledge. So that, if they do it, that's going to be, I mean, it gets swampier if you go more towards Lunenburg or West Elm, but the section from Clement down is fairly significant. So it would be interesting to see the estimated costs of what we're talking about. And I think that, to be honest with you, I agree, not creating, I'm all about not creating dead ends, but we also have but I think having a better draw out plan of it, and then also seeing the numbers, the dollar numbers attached to it, would behoove us. It's, that's the smart way to play it. So if you, item number 3 for Dave. So I would ask that for the next meeting.
What you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to just break it into pieces? But this is not my decision. That's yours. And I'm just trying to prompt it so you that we stay on some kind of thought.
And do people want it?
Right.
And then go from there. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, no, the information that we're talking about was in the February 24th meeting packet, just in case anybody wants to look at it. I just reviewed everything. I do not want to. I want to see us be as frugal as possible here. If at all, if there's anything we could do to make it so we don't have to raise rates, that would be my main goal. The water enterprise fund is not something. Um, Other than that, there's old mains that need to be replaced. There's a lot of old equipment that's failing.
We have
free cash ain't free.
No, and the other one on it that needs to be factored in. One thing I did find out today, Dave, when you start testing, watch your timeline for delivery. They're saying there's up to 6 to It's not something you're going to be able to call up and get delivered the next day.
We need to finish this subject first before we get
Yep.
to that one.
No, I know. Yep.
So one more thought.
Love to see somebody contact us instead of just hearsay. I have seen no documentation with a request from this municipality or this town saying that they need water.
They're
Um,
super. Can have an idea of what that would look like for us and what we can ask for and things like that. The other is, do we have the volume, or how much volume are they looking for, and can we supply it under our Water Management Act? So those are some of the things. We can go and ask if it was to assist the community, whether it be Lunenburg or Ashby or what have you. We can go back to the state and ask for additional volume under those circumstances. What we there would be certain restrictions or whatever. It would be a lot harder if we were asking for ourselves. Not that it's impossible, but it would be a little bit harder. But an additional volume that would be guaranteed to go to assisting a community, that's something that you can get an additional permit for currently, the way that works. But I would want to see, and again, Nate, to your point, that is a great reason to have them come before us and tell us what they're looking for in the amount per day. What usually happens with these is you run it to the town line. Usually there is a pit meter. We would be in charge of it because it's our water. But we could, at the least ask them to pay for that and pay for the interconnection. And we control that, usually, and the water that gets through that gets billed just like everybody else. And then it would be up to us to decide how and when we wanted to charge them. So that I owe you, and you know what? I apologize for not getting that to you sooner. I will work diligently on my behalf to get that done before the next meeting so you can see what IMA is for. If the board is okay, I will reach out to the superintendent and say, if he's serious about this, he and his board, or who are a representative of their board and or their superintendent, can come before us and make a formal request. And I would also say they probably should bring it in writing. So we have, not just a recorded request, but we have what they would be looking for from us. Is that amenable?
They're not ready yet. They have to do a study first to see what the best option is. And that's what they're doing right now. Because they have to sell it to their town.
Okay.
So right now, that's what they're working on. And the number they used was $500,000 per day.
I don't know if we have that, Dave.
You do. More than enough.
What do we use per day right now?
Middle of the summer, 700,000.
What is our annual average?
What do you mean?
What is our annual daily average that you report on the CCR?
It was 39.39.
Hold on one sec.
I do feel like we're getting a little bit off topic here.
We are.
I think that this is valid, but I think that this needs to be a future agenda.
We're not
You know what?
It's
You're right.
under Section 3 under system expansion.
Right, but we're right now. It's just we're thinking about scopes, and I need to know sometime the end of the summer after we do the hydraulic study. But we have months for you to start thinking about what you want to do.
Okay.
How far do you want to go? And so the next number I have to give you is a price per foot. And then you can take the maps and look what you want to do by the price per foot. But also we need to know the lawsuit money. We need to know, there's a lot of things up in the air that we don't know yet. So,
All right. So why don't we just keep this as an item
correct.
for us to talk about? The tank we need that for additional pressure for the system. That I agree. The piping I need to see the cost of it and what's the cost benefit, or do we have a significant number of people and things like that would want it. But that all right. I believe we've kind of beaten that to death. Yeah. Anybody, Jess or Nate, you got anything else you want to add to it?
I'm all set with section 3.
I'm good.
All right. 4.1. I did not submit anything, and nothing else is listed.
I do have some as a points of information.
Okay.
We don't have to discuss it. I had a resident. I'm sure you've heard a lot of it, but I had a resident reach out, left me a voicemail about chlorine smell in the water.
I had one show up my house.
And I had another person just give me a comment of disapproval. It's unfortunate.
No, it is what it is. It will get better once the system's never had chlorine in it. I went over the numbers with Dave. What's leaving, and Lou, what's leaving the plant is about 0.3, that's a very minimal dose. It will once it gets through the system and it stops reacting with some of the organics and the biofilms that exist in there. There is the strong possibility that it'll get reduced. Also, the odor will get less when the reactions stop. It's kind of the way the system works. Listen, if we didn't have to do it, we wouldn't have done it, because we wouldn't have expended all the money we did on the skater attachments, the chemical pumps, the chemicals themselves. So we'll get through it like we got through everything else. Me and Nate have taken a lot of stuff on the chin. We were the ones.
Wasn't that chlorine issue due to one of the valves? There was an issue with one of the valves. No. With the resident in question.
In their house?
Where'd you get that information?
I did not.
I heard that it was part of a foot valve issue.
In the house?
Was too much chlorine all at once.
No. So what it was doing is it was losing prime and it was getting less chlorine.
Oh.
Because
that makes sense to me. Because so that you understand, when they set this up on SCADA, SCADA's reading what's leaving the plant at the 100-foot tap, Dave?
What was that?
The SCADA reads chlorine levels at the 100-foot tap, the 100 feet away from where it enters the system, correct?
About 450 feet.
Okay. That comes back, and there's usually, or not usually, there has to be a low and a high alarm. And then there's a high alarm. Once those are set off, that's kind of why they have to go, and the operators have the on-call SCADA where they can go in remotely. And if it hits a certain level, it shuts everything. It shuts the whole plant off.
Right.
So the less chlorine makes sense to me. So that, I'd go with that. The other is the best way to see it too is if we're worried about it, Dave can present to us at the meeting the chemical addition reports that he has to submit to the state. If we, that's going to tell you the daily dose, the contact time, because that's the biggest thing that they have to meet. The level of chlorine has to be in contact with the water for a specific amount of time to meet what is called the CT number. So you meet what is called 4 log. And that's just the number of nines. You're guaranteeing you're removing 0.9999% of all potential bacteriological contaminants. More information than you guys ever wanted to know, and I apologize, but that's kind of it. I am hoping that once the system settles and stops reacting to this new addition, and Main Street is not online yet with the chlorine, correct, Dave?
Correct, which will be in my update. I'll have
All
all
right,
that.
I'll let you. I don't want to steal your thunder. I think we've talked. Nate, do you want anything? I think you
No,
brought your points forward. And
Those two items were the only thing that I had to report.
okay, I think we probably all got an earful. I'll say Nate and I have gone through our lumps. We were the ones who sat before everybody when we announced PFAS. We think we were the only two here when we did the rates. And now we're getting on the startup of the plant. There's been, I had also, and I'll add to Nate's point and then we can move on. I did get some calls about discolored water, not to the extent that it used to be, where it was like a solid apple cider. You are going to get some oxidation of the iron material in the pipe, and that may or may not present itself. But again, that will be short term, not long term. All right. Moving, since our liaison is here, I'm going to skip 5.1 unless she showed up.
She's in a planning board meeting. They're doing 324 Main Street tonight on a public hearing.
Okay.
That's the gas station.
Oh,
Across the
down
street
that
from
end.
Spalding
Okay,
Street.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. All right. Then we get to 6.1, superintendent's reports and updates.
Okay, Witches Brook 1 should be completed and online in the next 2 weeks. Bring in all 3 wells in. Right now, the 2 wells are doing about 950 gallons a minute, which is about half the capacity that it can do. Main Street and Cross Street, we're waiting for portable eye washes, and they'll be going online with chlorination because they made us do portable eye washes as well as everything else. But that's what we're waiting for, and they'll be online. Everything's ready to go. For Witches Brook, they're going to put new doors on both wells because they're very inefficient for heating, but that's coming with the treatment plant project. Okay, the new employee that will be helping out is coming on July 1st.
Okay.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
this may have to do with the email I sent you, Dave. I was asking about this. I saw a warrant for what appeared to be a new employee for Mass Waterworks. So
For Mass Waterworks?
yeah, so you had we had 3 warrants. One of them was for Jess Funioli. I had asked you.
For
I
school?
sent you an email. Yeah, so is this the new employee you're talking about?
Yes.
So what happened to the whole presenting candidates, applications, and then having the board make a recommendation?
The board doesn't do recommendations, and you don't do personal.
Let me
No,
finish my thought. We talked about this one of the other previous meetings.
I said
We
I was
told
going to
you
present
this.
the person.
And we told you this, and we told you what the process had been in the past.
And it is not the
Okay.
process.
So you can say that,
I'm telling you,
board
that's not the
came
process.
with
You
this
don't have the power to do it.
position.
Hold.
This
all
is
right,
what
I'm gonna
has been
stop.
done.
I'm
and
gonna
I'm
stop this
just
right.
saying
Let
that,
me,
Mr. Chairman, floor is yours.
thank you. I would. It has always been the process of the board to go through candidates and things like that. What I would say is that I'm amenable to seeing what Labor Council has to say instead of it being, because things have changed. If we have it delineated for us by the town's Labor Council, on who, and maybe have him or her be here at our meeting to explain it, I would be more amenable to that. But I do think if it's going to be representing the department, we should see who submitted, who didn't. And Dave, if they weren't acceptable candidates, if you at least give us the resume and say, this is why I didn't consider this person or what have you, and stuff like that. If you've got the guest candidate, we trust you. I would say that none of the candidates that have been hired have disappointed this board. But I would like the statement from Labor stating that.
The candidate is here tonight.
I understand that, but I would like to see, I think it would allay Nick's concerns, but also I would like to see just your thought process, Dave, to be honest with you. And if that the slots open on July 1st, then that's fine. But I think just to see what your thought process was, and I have no problem with the candidate, to be quite honest. But before we direct anything, I just to allay Nate's concerns, I do think it behooves us to have a comment from Labor Council. Then it's not anybody's opinion, Dave. It's not your opinion. It's not our opinion. If we have something in paper, then that's that.
So this was all part of the town council stepping in and saying that the board of selectmen are the ones that do the hiring.
Correct.
Go ahead, Nate.
So yeah, and you threw in that you have no problem with this candidate. I don't have a problem with this candidate either that I know of.
I know.
Of course, I don't know a lot about this candidate, and that's fine. We are not the hiring authority, but we do provide the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, we've done that with everyone that I can remember.
So my problem, if I may, to get back to the root of this before the explosion, is I'm being presented with a warrant article to sign for payment for someone that we have not hired yet. So I have a problem with that because you're asking the board to sign something for payment that we have not approved or reviewed. So this is a problem. This is not an autonomous department to be run like that. This is everything should be under board review, unless it's day-to-day operations or strictly with individual personnel.
What warrant are you talking about?
The warrants we received on April 11th. So my point is, no money should be spent that we're not aware of unless we approve it. Or if it's under $5,000, if you have an emergency, or if it's something, a day-to-day occurrence. But anything that involves planning or, hey, you know what, we're going to do this, that is a board decision. You're forgetting this time and time again.
It isn't. This is day to day.
I know you disagree.
I do disagree.
You've been very vocal on that, and I don't want to get into this again.
If you wanted to take a course, because they offer courses for commissioners and the basic courses for water, you can take the courses.
I'm
Hold
not
on
going to be
one
taking
second.
any money from the water department because I want the money to stay with the water department and with the water takers.
Okay. Consortium, Macross Metals, Verizon, NECH, Morse Communication, Comcast, White Mountain, Professional Services.
It's
on
we
by
got
itself.
three, Todd. We got three. It's
No, I know. Which one's it
Warrant,
on?
QuickBooks, JF reimbursement. That's the three PDFs that we got.
And for dues and membership, that doesn't necessarily have to be. So commissioners are allowed to be members as well.
That's fine, but why do the water takers pay for that? So my
It's-
original question
I will
was,
say
is
it's
this
an
your
industry.
candidate that you're hiring, Dave?
Let me finish. I was going to make a statement that it is industry standard that if the commissioners want to be members, that every one of them that I know of pays for those dues. If
The
they
wa-
want,
the water department?
yep.
Okay.
So whether the person is a candidate or not, Nate, you can get
No,
membership.
that's fine. I did not know that, and I've been doing this for a while, and no one's mentioned anything to me, and that's fine.
And you know what? I'll take the lump on that. Because I'm a member, and it probably never crossed my mind to offer that to you, or to mention it. But yeah, like a lot of the functions, in fact, they prefer to have commissioners involved so they can see a lot of, if it allows you to participate in their committees or attend things, and it allows you to get a better grasp on a lot of what we don't see and what goes into the day-to-day. And that's why they encourage it. And it's why most utilities, if a commissioner expresses interest, they pay, the community pays for it. It better serves the community in the long run because you do gather that understanding. So I had no problem with it. I wasn't even considering it because she was, because the person we're talking about is a potential candidate or the candidate, depending on your viewpoint. So
Is that the case, Dave?
What?
Is this individual a candidate
Yes,
or the candidate?
the candidate.
Have you promised the job?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you didn't need us then.
In this case, no. Because
So-
it has to be
I think there's some confusion here, and we're gonna have to get to the bottom of this. This
And
keeps happening. I can't allow it.
So I would say the way that it would be best answered is if Labor Council gave us a decision based on taking in past practices and what the law says, and then we go by what the law says. And I would have liked to seen at least the resumes or the applications, and your reasoning for the choice, to be honest with you. Not because I don't trust you. It's just I want to know why you chose the person you did. And I think that isn't, I don't think that's an enormous ask, and I don't think that's an intrusion into the day-to-day.
No,
I think
I can give you it very simple. One, we had 3 candidates that fit the bill. One was an existing town employee. One was from West Townsend. We'll be general, younger, and another one who said the money wasn't enough, and to come aboard was more money, which eliminated that person right off.
Oh, so they to come on board, they wanted more money than what was in the offering. Okay.
Right.
Dave, if you could do me a favor in the interim, do what we just asked. Put your three applicants down. The last one is clearly out of the question because they pulled themselves out by putting themselves above what the dollar value was.
Right.
The second one, if you want to, I would term it as a lack of experience. And if you had one that was an existing town employee that had municipal experience, would be a good explanation. But I think sending those to us, or at least me and Nate, because the other person may be the applicant, I think that would behoove us. But I think having
You'll have
that,
it- you'll have that,
okay. But I also, but all right, let me finish. I know I talk a lot. What I would say though too is I do want to hear from Labor Council on what is considered day to day and balancing that against past practices. I would like to know your reasonings for picking a candidate before it's sent to the board, because believe it or not, we have always presented the picks. I don't think we've ever said no to a pick, but
Well,
I do like to see your reasonings. Okay.
The last three didn't go before the board either.
Well, that's a problem. So
I don't
if
know
you
if
can
I
get
was on
Labor
at that
Council,
time.
so I would like to see a definitive from Labor Council, and then it puts it to rest. All right. And, in balancing past practices against what should be now. But in the interim, I would like to see the three applications and just your reasoning behind each one and your choice. And I think that settles everything. All right.
Yes.
Now,
And also, real quick, Dave, I had emailed you asking you about this. Now, please, when I ask you about warrants, I need you to get back to me. And you had
Also-
responded, but I clarified and I asked specifically for the clarification, and it was ignored. I called your office staff. I emailed her and said, "Hey, please mention I sent you this email." It was clearly ignored. You can't expect me to do my job if you're not going to explain line items that I don't understand.
You also understand
please.
that you were told not to contact me by the town. Other
Nobody
than-
asked. No,
Oh,
no.
absolutely.
all right,
Mr.
I'm going to stop this.
Mr.
This is
Superintendent, no.
Dave.
Mr. Chair, I have to address this. When we were sitting down with your boss, Dave, he said that you were to answer any commissioner question that comes about pertaining to water department business. Yes or no? You remember that?
In town meeting. And when you file.
Not in town meeting. No,
when you
in the
file a
meeting.
false-
All right,
Excuse me.
all right.
In the
This is
meeting.
getting.
This is,
This is
the
personal.
TA
I'm going
and
to
the
put a stop
liaison.
to it right
a
now.
false police report.
Dave,
And I don't take that lightly. He's been a bully.
Dave Pinoli, can you please mute the two of them, please, right now? Thank you. It was getting too personal, and you neither one were listening to me. All right. There's definitely a point of contention between the two of you. I'm not going to allow this meeting to dissolve into that. So I will put a stop to that. I will ask Dave, do you have other points on your report beyond what we just were talking about? All right. Can you please unmute Dave Vajant to finish discussing his report? Dave, hold on. You're not unmuted. Can you unmute? There you go.
So the next thing, summer interns will be coming on after school is finished.
Okay. How many do we have, Dave?
Right now, there'll be three, but there'll be no more than two in a day. They only get 3 days. This way we have two. We're going to be redoing the power washing of the tank. We're going to be doing some more hydrant, and we have some work that needs to be caught up on because of the building construction and everything else.
Dave, on the hydrants, if they're seasonal work, they're usually teenagers from town. I'd like to keep them off 13, 119, and any of the main roads, unless they have a detail. All right.
Yep. So what's also good is that there's going to be a T2 class offered in Townsend by the Mass Rural Water. If those employees want to take that class, it doesn't cost us anything because it's Mass Rural Water and we're under 10,000 people. They can be offered that course and they can get their T1 license from that. And T2 is more involved, but it's easier to get your license. So
Wait a minute, Dave. You said two things. You said they're going to offer a T2 class or a T1.
T2 class is offered in Townsend
Right.
this fall.
Right. But then you said they could get their T1.
They can get their T1 license by taking that class.
Well, they still have to take the test too, don't they?
Correct. But
Okay.
they'll have to take the test on their own. But
Right.
it gives them an opportunity to get a license
That's
and a
fine.
career from the water department.
All right.
It doesn't cost us anything.
I will put this offer out to either one of the board if we have enough free seats. That if you wanted to see what an operator was or have that experience, you could take the class as well. But Nate, it might be hard where you have your own business to do that. So, all right, seasonal help's done.
Absolutely
What's
attend
next?
if I know the date.
Can you get the list of dates and send it to Nate, please?
Correct.
All right.
We'll be flushing the last week of April to help with the chlorine and the dead ends and getting the reactive matter out.
One thing on that, Dave, make sure we do well in advance on when you're going to be flushing.
Correct. We put the plans out first and we put it on Facebook.
Okay. Can you talk to the webmaster or whoever controls the website on the town? Make sure it's on the town website as well. And see if we
do
can
that.
get and the highway signs. I think that is a good way of doing that. Go ahead.
All right. So just so you know, I'll be on vacation next week. I have to take 11 days more just to get me down to 2 weeks because I don't take very much time off. So it's going to be kind of.
Yep.
I don't have a choice.
Who's your second, Dave? Is it who's
That would be
second at the plant? What?
Kevin.
He's second at the plant and distribution?
The plant is Ryan. The rest of it is Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Something that you brought up. I had a talk with DCR about Squanicook Meadows, and they're telling the town that the water department has primacy over that section of Squanicook Meadow for the well because it's a town public water supply, and they're going to defer everything to the water department for anything that goes on there,
All right.
and that's it.
I will. All right. If that's the end of Dave's report, hold on one second. We can move on to 7.1. Schedule next meeting. You guys said when it was. And I
Second
forget.
Monday.
May 12th.
May 12th. Hold on. So I put it in my calendar so I don't forget. And I want to go to May 12th, nothing there. Today, TW, Hudson Water Commissioners. Save. All right, done. 12th work for you, Nate? Okay. We need a motion or do we want to discuss any of this, or are we okay reviewing out of session?
The 12th looks good.
Okay. Then we should move on to 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4. I looked at it. For what I had, looked okay. Can I have a motion?
I move that we review monthly abatements and adjustment list, review and approve end of month's report, and sign reports and bill payable warrants out of session.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Matala, aye.
Jessica Funioli, aye.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of April 14th at 8:21 p.m.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Matala, aye.
Jessica Funioli, aye.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time, and I will see you next month